Hello, my name is Jason Shank. I'm currently working on my PhD in history from Liberty University, and I have going to do a defense of a paper I just finished writing. The paper is about the Christian history of Rome. It looks at Constantine's victories in the consolidation of Rome and establishment of the Christian Roman Empire as the first Christian emperor. Of course, we know that happened in 324. Following his victory in 324 over Licinius, he moved the capital of Rome to Byzantium, then renamed it Constantinople, ended the persecution of the church, established religious liberty, if you will, throughout the empire. And of course, that changed the course of the Roman Empire for good, eventually splitting it into two halves. But the real question I had was, why did he move the capital to Byzantium? And along with that, if it was if there's a Christian purpose to it, what were the elements of that? And then was that done out of political reasons, or was it done for reasons of his Christian faith? So the first off, we have to look at whether or not Constantine was actually a Christian. That's been revisionist historians have long held or presented apprehensions that he was. Based on his own words and those of his historians, it's hard to argue whether the his conversion was actually real. He said it time and time again, along with his vision of before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge with the Cairo. But we have to kind of look at his conversion being authentic. For the actual move, many historians gloss over the question of why he actually moved there. They report on the actual movement and then continue on with the history of the Roman Empire. However, some historians do cover it, and it does fall into five major categories or schools of thought. The first one being the geographic strategy, just that it commanded a important piece of land. The crossroads, basically a trade from the east to the west, access to the Black Sea. So it's an important place there, and it was also very defensible. There's also political influence. Rome was in a state of decay, as witnessed by Constantine. Moving away from Rome also moved away from the influence of the Roman Senate and also the Roman elites in the area. There's a campaign strategy for a while, almost a century. Emperors had stayed with their armies on campaign near the front lines, which also fit this situation as their biggest threat. Really, at the time, was the Persian Empire to the east. Um, there's also the symbology of Byzantium. That was the site or near the site of his final battle against Licinius and the consolidation of the empire. So that was kind of lauding praise on himself. Renaming it to Constantinople certainly goes to solidify that argument. And then finally, it also allowed for a religious new start for the empire. Christianity had been persecuted for really about 40 years, 30 or 40 years prior to his victory. And it never had a real strong freedom from the empire. Starting it in the east, where Christianity was at its strongest at the time, made a lot of sense in allowing that change, that transformation to take place. For the religious reasons for him moving to Byzantium, which after all this study I kind of believe was his biggest motivation for moving there. Certainly not his only motivation, but his biggest motivation. It created a centrality of the existing churches. There's church in Alexandria, Antioch, Jerusalem. So that kind of made it a central location as far as where the churches were located. There's also the geographic location close to Palestine and Asia Minor, where, like we said, Christianity was at its strongest, but also where the birthplace or the origins of Christianity were. He spent a lot of money and a lot of time rebuilding those churches and sending his mother, Helena, to Jerusalem to build churches there. It was also a permissive environment to establish the Christian base, as again it was already popular in the area. Um, Constantine had close connections early on with Maximian and Diocletian and their persecutions of the church. So this gave him separation from where the persecutions were at their greatest. And then finally, the Arian controversy was already boiling up for 4 years prior to the his consolidation of the empire. And the Council of Nicaea happened only a year later, which begs the question whether or not the Arian controversy had some effect on his decision making there. For future study on that, the division of Byzantium from Rome, of course, created big problems in the future and allowed the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, to fail. Question going forward be, could Constantine have done anything different to really consolidate the empire instead of separating it?